meddling owner, 3 division titles. By the way, we went and gave you stats for 9 years. Number 2 in yards per play in the NFL. I don't know. I look at Jason Garrett with the Spanoses, Tom Telesco, and Justin Herbert. I'm not sure you can do better. Am I wrong? I don't think that's a bad fit at all.
I don't think it's a bad fit, but, look, the Chargers are casting a wide net. I think a lot of times when people say, oh, Chargers want to interview Jason Garrett, Chargers want to hire Jason Garrett. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they want to fact find about Jason Garrett, and then they'll decide whether he's going to be on their very short list. The fact that he's getting an interview, I think, is very encouraging for him, but I don't take interview lists as being very important at this time of year because, look, I think it's the Jaguars are attempting to interview 5 different general managers, or it might be 6. The Falcons have cast a very wide net, both in GM and now coming up in coaches. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Usually I like to see who gets the second interview. 2 years ago, the Browns interviewed a bunch of people, and then Freddie Kitchens and Kevin Stefanski got the second interviews. And it was very, very close division in the organization, and they hired Freddie Kitchens. So, I want to see if somebody gets a second interview.
So I saw Chris Mortensen. We both know him, respect him well. He said he'd never gotten more feedback about what happened during an NFL game, negative feedback, than what Doug Peterson did. The one thing I didn't like is I do believe that Jalen Hurts, I thought it would have been a nice come-from-behind win for him against the potential playoff team. I think for young quarterbacks, those instances, those opportunities are rare. I didn't like them pulling him. There's also the league integrity stuff. Joe Judge fired back. What did your sources say? What did your people say the reaction to Doug Peterson benching Jalen Hurts and a winnable game became an unwinnable game?
I haven't talked to anybody who said they thought it was a good decision. There are sometimes clearly, look, in that organization, they love Nate Sudfeld. Going back to 2017, 2018, he's always been a very trusted backup soldier. So now in a meaningless game, Doug Peterson wanted to do him a solid and give him some time. And I get that. The biggest problem is you've got 2 teams in the NFL who are on the precipice of making the playoffs. And I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, they got bad records. I don't care if they're 1-15. They were both on the verge of making the playoffs. And Doug Peterson put a guy in the game who hasn't played football in 105 weeks or in a football game. And I just thought it was terrible. If there is anything like an unwritten honor code among coaches in the NFL, he broke it.
Yeah. Are you, in basketball, we've seen it multiple times where LeBron James not only goes to an organization and they win, but the organization he leaves unravels. Brady just did a LeBron where New England lacks some offensive personnel. I'm almost shocked, Peter, how they went 12-4 last year and how in God's name they were a top 10 offense. Has the divorce been as, I don't even think I can get my arms quite around how good Brady has been with no OTAs in the preseason camp. The dire consequences for New England and the elevation, Tampa's now an 8-point playoff favorite. Are you a little shocked by how pro-Brady this divorce went?
Well, Colin, I think you're assuming that if Brady stayed in New England, they'd have won 11 games and found a way into the playoffs. I don't necessarily think that. The New England Patriots, it's either 1, 2, or 3, have either the worst, second, or third worst skill position group in the NFL. That's Bill Belichick's fault. Bill Belichick, the general manager. When I sat with Brady 1 year ago last night, after the wild card loss to Tennessee, I just, he was just despondent. And he was, he said all the right things, but you could just tell, okay? You could just tell watching him, watching his body language. He was disgusted with what had happened in New England. And I think now in retrospect, as I look back on that night, that 10 minutes I spent with him that night, that was Tom Brady basically saying, I can't deal with no talent around me anymore. And, there's a reason why, the Bucs are 8-point favorites in a playoff game this weekend, because the combination of Tom Brady still with something left and a great skill position group, you're going to be a heavy favorite in a playoff game.
So Kevin Stefanski is out coaching this week. It's starting to unravel. Olivier Vernon's injury. Kevin Stefanski can't coach. The good news in Cleveland never seems to last very long. It does feel like, to me, it makes Pittsburgh a prohibitive favorite. You tell me, how fluid could a situation be with no head coach in the sideline, especially a new guy? He's not Belichick. He doesn't have the same coordinators for 9 years. This just feels like doom to me. Am I hyperbolic here?
I mean, it's not good, especially you're playing on the road. You're playing against a team that has had your number over the years in the Steelers. And this was a 2-point win at home against Mason Rudolph against that team. And a 2-point conversion away, maybe from playing in overtime. And now you're playing Ben Roethlisberger, who was on the couch on Sunday. And so he'll be rested and ready to go in this game. And I guess the way I look at it, Colin, is I could see the Browns winning this game, but everything has to go well. And the one name you didn't mention, Joel Bitonio, the guard who's also going to be out with a positive COVID test.
Yep.
About 2 hours ago, I finished filling out my Associated Press All-Pro ballot. Joel Bitonio is my left guard. And so that's not just any loss. That's a loss of one of the best players on the team. So it isn't just the coach. It's the loss of a very difficult-to-replace player.
By the way, finally, Urban Meyer to Jacksonville rumors are hot and heavy. Do you buy him? What do you think of that?
I mean, it strikes me because I know that Shad Khan has got a pretty tight circle around him. It strikes me that somebody in Meyer's camp, wittingly or unwittingly, got this out. And look, Colin, I'll just say the same thing. I would love to interview Urban Meyer for an NFL head coaching vacancy, but I would probably spend the majority of my time in the interview saying, you left coaching for various reasons at age 45, 46, and 54. Why should we think that you won't be another Nick Saban, a guy who came in to save the Dolphins and 23 months later is asking Wayne Huizenga to be let out of his contract because he's miserable. So and Colin, this guy has been a great coach on the college level, Urban Meyer. He's never been less than 3 games over 500 in any year he's ever coached. And I just would ask this question, how are you going to like losing in Jacksonville? And I'm not saying you can't win in Jacksonville. You can. But you will undergo significant days and weeks and maybe months of losing. That's just the way it is. Can you take that? Are you ready for that? And are you in for 4 or 5 or 6 years at least? Or at the first sign of 2-14, are you out?
Yeah. Great. It's really legitimate points. And I know Urban well, and I love him. But the other thing that worries me a little bit is that, Tom Coughlin was a wide receiver coach in the NFL for years. Then he went to college. Then he came back to the NFL. Same with Jim Harbaugh. He'd been a Raiders quarterback coach or receiver coach. Matt Rule had been in the NFL. Urban's a college guy. Even Saban, by the way, was with that Belichick staff in Cleveland. So he'd done some college.
Right.
I do worry about when a guy's just strictly college. Then he goes to the NFL because, man,
the game is different.
Yeah.
The game is different. The rules are different.
Yep.
It's frustrating. You can sit at Ohio State and Florida and have a great recruiting class just as a matter of course.
Yeah.
In the NFL, nobody cares. You can draft Trevor Lawrence, but other than DJ Chark and James Robinson, can you put enough great players around him, great players, to win 10 to 12 games every year? It's a challenge. Ask NFL coaches.
Yeah. Ask Belichick this year. NBCSports.com. Peter Crane. Great seeing you on a Tuesday, Peter. Thanks.
All the best, Colin.
By the way, there are 6 NFL job openings. I do think there's one that is clearly better than all the others, and I don't think it's that close, and I'll explain it coming up. Every year starts with New Year's resolutions to all sorts of us. We all have. I have one, by the way. I got one New Year's resolution. Last year I had one. Joy knows what it is. I was not very good at it. Maybe doubling down this year. Whether you're looking to make 2021 the year you clean up your diet, get fit, or just better time management, ButcherBox is a great way to start. They ship high-quality protein conveniently overnight right to your door. They partner with folks who believe in going above and beyond when it comes to caring for animals and sustainability. Organic chicken, 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef, seafood, salmon, scallops, fresh caught. 20 different cuts of meat, great recipes on their website, too. So if you're a griller and not necessarily a chef, they'll get it done for you. Sign up today, butcherbox.com/herd. For a limited time, they'll offer new members their ultimate keto bundle. 10 pounds of meat, pork butt, 2 pounds ground beef, bone-in chicken thighs free. But you got to go to butcherbox.com, and you got to put in the code HERD. Go to their website, delivered fresh.